There are a lot of benefits both in terms of labour efficiency as well as for the stock themselves, so it's very easy to target their nutrition, feed them exactly what they require.
We sort of grew into confinement feeding probably over the last 10 years. The main reason we got into it was to try and defer pasture and grow as much pasture as we could before the winter time set in, and hopefully finish feeding our livestock earlier in the season.
We really like it. It's been able to move our sheep farm and our cropping farm forward in both production, stocking rates, and also getting seeding on time.
It's increasing pasture growth and density and massive time saving in feeding at the pretty critical time of the year.
Today we've been chatting a bit about some of the pre, during and post-confinement health and nutrition considerations. So prior to confinement, definitely body condition scoring use and pre-scanning use is really essential. It helps us to determine exactly what their energy requirements are going to be throughout that period and allows us to target nutrition. Backgrounding is another really important one, so making sure that the ewes are actually used to the diet they're going to be fed whilst in confinement, so reducing that risk of acidosis. Then during confinement, there are a lot of considerations, obviously, you know, as we're here today, looking at the pens, the structure and all of those kinds of things. We spoke a bit about stocking density, trying not to go below that 5 to 10 metres squared per ewe. Also looking at feed trough and water trough spacing so that there's ample access for each animal to access feed and water when they require it.
In 2022, running the confinement feeding project, funded by MLA, we have found increases in deferred production of pasture, weight gains, condition scores, reduced labour costs, reduced labour enterprises. Site hosts were all able to save money in a lot of different areas, with gross margins all being above $5,000.
It's a fairly big learning curve. Got a long way to get it set up properly. Last year we had 3 mobs of around 400 ewes. Had them on there for 6 to 8 weeks, and it just happened to be that it was a good pasture year anyway, so when we did let them out, the feed was going crazy in the paddocks anyway.
At the moment we're still feeding on the ground. I think going to a trough one day would be nice, and our pens are still quite big, but at the moment that's what works for our system.
Just getting the ration right, making sure that's spot on. Probably more so inclined to overfeed them than underfeed them now.
There are a lot of benefits to confinement feeding. From a more whole farm approach, you know, it allows farmers to increase their labour efficiency. That's something that people constantly talk about when they do start confinement feeding.